Hey guys, how are you today? Today I wanted to share with you just the irrefutable evidence that our hair is significant when it comes to spiritual development. And I just gathered a few images last night from different traditions, different faiths, different cultures, where the imagery I gathered actually express the same thing, that these cultures, these influential cultures, these faiths, they actually have the same thing in common, a lot of things in common I've noticed over the last few years. And one which I just noticed that I proved to myself, in a sense, through imagery, was this idea that they all had long hair, and particularly men had long beards. So this is an image here of a scribe, an ancient scribe who would have wrote a lot of ancient texts, which we enjoy today. And all I did was Google ancient scribes. And if you go to the image section, you'll see that a lot of the pictures here are of monuments of scribes with long hair. There's one there. Notice here that the scribe here has a tablet in front of him. But in many of these images, a lot of these scribes, I just noticed, had long hair. And this seems to be a common theme throughout spiritual practice. Here you have a Jewish scribe who is possibly writing a part of a new scripture to facilitate the needs of the modern world and how we must adapt to it and how we must function with the changing of times. But I just noticed this Jewish scribe actually has a long beard and long hair. But it's not only among people of faith and people of culture that this idea of long hair that has benefits, perhaps spiritually, but also mentally, emotionally, and particularly here in this image of the English judicial system, that long hair actually has benefits in a political sense, in a judicial sense. And we see this throughout many of the courts through England, where the judges and the lawyers, the judicial service, will actually wear these wigs, these long-haired wigs, and perhaps signifying the same thing that other cultures and faiths are actually saying, that hair is significant when it comes to your spiritual development, your emotional development, your mental development. And here it is expressed here in this idea that it is significant in your political and your judicial development or legislative development. Another image as well, many images within the English judicial system express this idea through the wearing of the wig, that hair is significant. You'll notice many images as well of the great scientist, one of the most intelligent men on this planet, Albert Einstein, is also often depicted with having long hair. Many great men across time who did a lot of great service for our world had long hair. This here is an image of President Lincoln, one of the US presidents. Here we have again one of the first presidents of the United States, George Washington. Perhaps adopted this idea that the English had of wearing a wig while in judicial or political situations, but this image would convey the idea that he had long hair. Among the Amish community as well, it is noticed how men in particular wear their beards, they grow their beards out and have particular long hair. You'll notice as I go through these images that this is actually common practice among a lot of different groups, not just spiritual, not just cultural, but political groups, judicial groups across the world express the same idea that long hair is very important. These cultures, these faiths, these groups are created in different eras, in different times, A lot of them are different continents and they're not directly connected with one another. And yet they express the same idea. You see the same kind of common idea coming out that I'm trying to express, that this idea that hair, which is growing out, which is long, is actually significant and important for our emotional, our mental, our spiritual development. Here you have some sort of gathering among rabbis or among the Jewish community. This here is a prominent rabbi within the Jewish faith, one who was a great talker. Also here in this image expresses this idea that hair is very important. And as I just ran through the images here, you'll notice here different groups, different faiths. Just notice, just ponder upon the images how the length of the hair is significant among many of the groups. So I hope to convey this idea that if you're on a spiritual journey, but you feel like your journey is not coming to fruition or going places where going to the place that you wanted to go, or you've given up hope, there are things you need to look out for. There are probably practices or things you haven't considered you need to do on your spiritual development. But this idea as well is expressed not only in other faiths, but also in Christianity. And I have many images of Christ at home. And no matter what image I come across, I always come across an image of Christ with long hair. You know, in modern society, perhaps the idea of someone with long hair is seen as demonic. Perhaps we associate them with rock stars. So it's nice to see that an image of Christ with long hair actually conveys this idea of peace and mercy, perhaps. Every image I come across, I have at home of Christ as Christ with long hair. And it conveys this idea that the hair length, and particularly for men, the beard is very important in your spiritual growth. Another image then of Saint Augustine, one of the great saints, who is depicted with this long beard, perhaps not long hair. He was balding at the time, but again, expresses this idea that the beard is very important when it comes to spiritual growth and its length. Here we have a Spanish artist, guitar player, who also is sporting this kind of idea of having long hair. So many artists, you'll notice, prominent people who are very influential throughout history and in modern day, have this same thing in common. This kind of, the length of their hair is significant. Here we have Russell Brand, a prominent figure on YouTube who has a great documentary who talks about spiritual enlightenment and talks about a lot of the great topics of the day, tries to engage people in a very witty and clever way. A very intelligent man, very cunning man, very comedic sort of man, great intelligence, but just knows as well, even among modern people, that the hair is significant, that even Russell Brand has long hair. And this idea is also expressed not only in modern times, but also in the ancient world. Many African tribes have this idea, express this idea through their imagery, through whatever practice of preaching, of whatever dance or practices they're doing, that the hair is significant, the length of the hair is significant, not only amongst African tribes, but also among ancient Egyptian texts and images. You can see this idea that many of the gods and goddesses actually express this idea through their imagery, through the carvings, that the length of the hair was actually significant. Another image of Ra, the sun god, and I just noticed the headdress on him. Even though Ra is not depicted as a person, but as a bird, it's interesting how the headdress actually drops down as if it was long, hairy. More images in ancient Egypt of gods and goddesses who depict this idea that they have long hair. Again, across the African world, many tribes express this through their art, through imagery, that long hair is very important. And many influential singers and songwriters actually had this in common as well, and expressed this idea that you possibly cannot reach your full creative abilities, whether it be music, whether it be art, whatever it is, unless you grow your hair. There is something significant about hair, whether it is that there's DNA within the hair, whether the hair holds memory. If you think about it, we are the only mammals who have long hair on our heads. There is something significant about us as mammals as having long hair. Here you have modern celebrities of the day, Tom Cruise, Ashton Kutcher, many other singers, Brad Pitt, sporting this kind of imagery of long hair and expressing this idea that creative abilities somehow come from having long hair. And I want to express this idea that it doesn't matter whether you look at ancient images, whether you look at modern images, whatever culture or faith you're looking at, you'll see the same pattern unfold, that hair is significant and the length of hair is significant as well. Another great Spanish artist here. You notice that many Spanish artists, if you ever look at videos of artists playing guitar, and great Spanish guitar players, that a lot of them will have very long hair. Here is an image of a guru in India called Osho. Now, I don't know if I'd call him, he calls himself a guru. I don't listen to him all that much, but again, this idea expressed in India as well, that long hair, long beards are significant when it comes to spiritual development. And here you have an image of the statue Shiva. And this is a carving or a monument which was erected in a retreat made by a guru called Sadhguru. Some of you might know him. He's very famous across India, so he is. And this is an image of Shiva. And I just found this interesting when I come across this image, and looking at the other images of different faiths and cultures with long hair, that the image of Shiva actually depicts the god with long hair. I thought this is very significant as well, as to why the erection of this monument deliberately was carved with long hair. This is significant in a sense. And here we have Sadhguru himself, a great, prominent, mystic guru across India, who has changed the lives of many people, who runs these meditative retreats across India and across the world. Again, supporting this idea that the hair, particularly the beard, is significant in a sense. Another modern artist, filmmaker, actor Johnny Depp, sporting a ponytail. Many rock stars throughout history all had long hair, expressing this idea that their abilities were somehow intertwined with the length of their hair. Freddie Mercury, long hair. His guitarist, solo guitarist, Brian May, long hair, great guitarist in the band Queen, had long hair. Freddie Mercury had long hair, great songwriter, great singer, great talented musician. And here we have this idea of the braids, particularly in India. We see this in Africa amongst tribes and amongst modern people in Africa, but this is also significant as well in India. This idea of the significance of hair. And really this is all this video is about. It's just the significance of hair. But it's conveying this idea and embedding it in our mind, because society has a tendency to change our mind. Once we start to think we can benefit from society, we start to change our thinking and adopt the customs of society, of modern society, which And the first thing we do is do something that doesn't cause pain, which is cut her hair to fit in with society. So it's this idea that you must embed this idea in your mind so that society doesn't pull you away to change, to cut your hair again. That somehow you can engage with society, but also maintain your spirituality, your intuition, your connectedness to God, to the source. Maybe I should go back to the image of, yes, the image of this Spanish guitarist and how he engages with the modern society, but yet maintains his long hair. And notice how the sides of his head seem to be shaped, almost in a mohawk style. And this is actually a clever way of perhaps hiding this idea of keeping your hair tidy so that you convey this idea that you're a part of society, that you're clean shaven, that you maintain yourself, you're not scruffy in a sense, but at the same time, you maintain your long hair to maintain your spiritual qualities. Freddie Mercury again sporting long hair at the beginning of his career. Many artists, particularly rock stars, had long hair. Again, these Spanish artists, Spanish guitar players, sporting this long-haired look. I couldn't think of the names of the artists, but I listened to them frequently. Lucas Imberiba is one of the Spanish guitarists. He was a great musician. The way he plays the guitar is unbelievable. How he remembers the chords, I do not know. But again, I think that there is significance in the length of his hair and how he's able to maintain the rhythm of playing the guitar, maintain the memory of the notes that he's playing. So that's just, it may be a simple idea. I may have repeated myself time and time again, but it's expressing this idea that hair is significant. And we can then move to the Bible to view how important hair is. If we move to 1 Corinthians 11:15, it reads, "But that if a woman has long hair, it is her glory, for long hair is given to her as a covering." So again, not only through imagery, but also reading scripture, we see this idea of how significant hair is. Now, if you find this passage within the Bible, 1 Corinthians 11:15, there's different translations here from this website called BibleHub.com. One of the new international versions, it states, "But that if a woman has long hair, it is her glory, for long hair is given to her as a covering." New Living Translation, "And it's long hair, a woman's pride and joy." And isn't long hair a woman's pride and joy, for it has been given to her as a covering. We also know Samson in the Bible. We've all heard of the story of Samson in the Bible, how he lost his strength when his hair was cut. And we can read many passages here from the Bible as well, how when hair is cut, spiritual degradation happens. Here from Numbers 6:5, "All the days of his vow of separation, no razor shall touch his head, until the time is completed, for which he separates himself to the Lord. He shall be holy, he shall let the locks of hair of his head grow long. Hebrews 11:32. And what more shall I say? For time would fail me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, of David and Samuel and the prophets. So they are mentioning the name Samson, reflecting upon the length of his hair. Another Bible passage kind of signifying the importance of hair, in a sense. So it expresses this idea that no matter what culture or faith you look at, that it is common that, or whether it's modern times, whether it's ancient times, that people who are successful sport this long-haired look. On many continents, in ancient times, in Africa, ancient Egypt, in Christianity, in images of Christ, sport is long hair. So if you're on a spiritual journey, but you feel like you're not progressing in the sense, in the way that you want, perhaps it's time to think about your hair and perhaps detaching in a sense from society, not being over aware of how you look in a sense, but letting yourself go and detaching yourself from society in a sense. This is perhaps a big step when it comes to spiritual growth. So thank you for listening, and that's just a video there on the significance of hair, proving, throughout many images that hair, viewed in different ways, different cultures, respective of different cultures, different faiths, and different eras, is actually very significant. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe so other people can get this message. See you again.